So now to part 6. Just remind you what that is. FG graphics, full deploy, and using FTP. So, full deploy button. Let's go to CPT. You will see here there's an arrow on its side from left to right called graphics. If you double click on that, you will get this standard default page. And that default is created every time you create a new controller or a new project. So let's just remind you again what that is. CPT, double click on the icon. When I created this AHU earlier, it created a folder in the files folder, which is here, under recent, under AHU, and it was called graphics. And you can see I just have this welcome screen. So if I open that up now, and what we do is, these are XML files that contain HTML5 code. That's what this welcome screen is here. So every time we create logic graphics on here and link it to logic, it gets saved in what we call a .gr file. If you go back to here again, I should leave this open. Files, recent, graphic, welcome page, .gr. So look along the top, right across to the right here, there's this kind of arrow going from left to right, going clockwise. You click on full deploy. What full deploy does is it synchronizes any graphics that you may have brought in, like floor plans, like pieces of equipment. It makes sure that they get stored on the SD card, and it makes sure that all the graphic pages are all aligned exactly as we see them now in CPT. So this first page is not going to be too exciting, but it does show us the web server starting to work now. There it goes. So all you do now is click to the right of that button, flag, and it's called preview. That will go to the web page login. And the password is admin. Sorry, the username is admin. The password is hello CPT, lowercase. And it is covered in the documentation. All the default passwords are shown there. And up comes the graphic page, and there it is. That's our nice simple graphic. What we're going to do is we're going to delete some of this. Just click there, click all these ones here, delete, hit the deploy button. This time you don't have to do full deploy, just do a normal deploy. Just takes a second or two. Now hit preview, close the old one to the left, and you'll see our new graphic now just says welcome to CPT Tool Graphics. So what I want you to do next is rename this and call this text you see is here on the right under properties. If you just click on that, and let's call this air handling unit control with exhaust. Click. Now hit deploy. Preview. And you will see it changed. Next thing we're going to do is put some ductwork in there. So what we do now is go down to the library down the bottom left hand side this time. And we go to ducts here. Just hover your mouse and it shows you what the image is. Take duct A now, drag that in the middle, like there, and hit deploy. And now I want you to change the welcome name, right hand click, rename graphic, and we're going to call this AHU. Right, double click on that and hit deploy. And now preview. Close the one to the left. And you'll see on the left hand side now in the tree it says AHU, it does not say welcome anymore, and it now says AHU control with exhaust, and it has some ductwork. Let's go back and look at the files. You see it renamed in your AHU folder in your CPT. It renamed it to AHU, and it renamed it to AHU here. So it is interconnected with your Windows Explorer in your CPT. So what we're going to do now is back up what we've done. We don't really have much in there, but maybe just add a bit of logic in first, just so it's a little bit more interesting. Add a user lib, training example, RTU logic folders, and just press save, and they all come in. Just arrange vertically, save, restart, action, restart, and we've just built ourselves an RTU. So what we're going to do now is back everything up that we've just done. So we're going to go to the wrench up here, and it says backup management. Click on that, and then press OK. And remote is the SD card, and local is your PC. Let me show you that folder. So if we go back to go back to CPT, go to CPT backups, you'll see we have nothing in there. So what I want you to do is leave that open, go to CPT, and go back to remote, and now backup, click the history DB box and hit backup with today's date. And then just sit and wait until that finishes. When it's finished, we're going to save it to our CPT. So the way we back it up is we'll get this dialog box that comes up, just press yes, and that FTPs all the files into the local folder. Now if you were to go back to your main EasyIO folder and look inside CPT here, under CPT backups, you'll see it says part, and it just finished. If we go back to CPT, it did just finish, and there it says local. Now what I want you to do is manually go and put a backup into the local folder. And the way you do that, go back to your EasyIO folder, go back to the main folder here, go to your 46 reference at design apps. Now I want you to copy the VAVAHU, copy, and go back to here, go back to CPT, CPT backups, and paste it in here. That's a whole app, including the graphics, a database file. There's the database file. Here's the logic, the app.sab, the kits.scode is the logic app. The CPT is all to do with graphics. There's dashboards in there. There's an app. Under GR data, there are our graphics that were shown in that document I showed you earlier, the flowchart. So go back to CPT now, and in the local one, the local tab, just hit refresh, and you'll see we now have a VAVHU. What I want you to do now is hit the upload button. Now I know some people might find that confusing. They might think, isn't that a download? Well, actually, we're following the IT industry, and they refer to it this way. In the controls industry, we refer to it the opposite way. So what we're doing is we're uploading files from the computer up into the SD card on the controller. Now, it doesn't take that long. When that's finished, we're then able to restore that application from the remote tab, which is the SD card. So just watch me do it, and you have a go, and just practice going back and forth, putting your old app in, maybe add the boiler app in, go back and forth, have a look at them, then go back and put your training app in again. Doesn't matter how many times you do it, everything gets cleaned out and reloaded, and you get a nice clean job. That's just about loaded now. And there it goes. So, local is your PC, remote is on the SD card in the control. You'll see now we have a VAVHU. Just highlight it and press restore and say restore on the left. And then just wait. So now the controller has automatically reopened. It has loaded in the VAV air handling unit application. Just have a look at it. You'll see the I/O is there. See, we've got fan control. And all this is documented. But now let's go to the graphics. In the graphics, there's nothing there because the graphics are installed in the SD card. Because we didn't create them here, they were already created from a backup. So here's what we would do. We can either import them from this arrow here, from the controller, or what I would prefer to do is create a new controller. So let's do that. Back to your 2017 folder, CPT. You see where we've got AHU. Let's do new and call it RTU. Call it VAV AHU. Press open. The reason for this is to get the graphics in the right place. The logic never changes because the logic is in the controller already. When you go back to the graphics now, you'll see we're back to a welcome page. But if we go up to here, to this arrow, download, and press OK, watch what happens. The VAV air handling unit is here. We just downloaded it from the app. So what you do is, just for good housekeeping, delete the welcome page. Where it says VAVHU, do a right hand click and set that as the home page. Save. So you could make changes now, do a full deploy again, and that would be reflected in what you see on the screen. And then you would back it up as something else. But let's just have a look what this looks like. Hit the preview button. We saved the password last time. You'll see we've got a little house next to the VAVHU that says that that's the home page. And if I reduce the size of my screen resolution, you'll get everything on the page there. I'll leave it at 100% for now. Now what we've done on this graphic is we've included the system description as a hyperlink. So if you click on here, it takes you into the PDF document. And that's the user manual for this app. See that? And that is stored where I showed you before, under the CPT backups, VAVHU, CPT docs. There's the Word version. So now you could check all the logic and make sure you're happy with it, or just copy bits of it. So why do we do that? And then we can reuse it again. And the same applies to graphics as well. You can reuse those. What I could do is under user libs, I could just drag in this VAVHU just down to here. Say I want it to go into my, I'm going to call this training. Press OK. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave that where we are now. I'm going to close it. And we're going to go and open CPT again, but this time we're going to open it as the AHU controller that we created earlier. See the AHU there, double click, press OK. And what we're going to do is now restore our training app, which was today's date, which was there. Hit restore. So the controller is reopened now, back to where it was when we did our training backup earlier. Go into graphics. Now we have an AHU. What I want you to do is go to the user libs down here now, and you'll see we have one called training and a user lib there. It looks like I forgot to give it a real name. Just drop that in, to graphics. Yeah. Call it, I don't know, for this example, just call it RTU. Press save. There you go. Now, if you were to hit a full deploy now, that user library that we took from the other app will now get fully deployed into this controller and overwrite and remove all those other pages that were in there from the previous app. Might sound a little confusing, but I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. Now, I just want to check if I've got FileZilla on this computer, and I do. So I want you to install FileZilla, and it is there on the software that I gave you. If you go into here, there's a 32-bit and a 64-bit. Load those onto your computer, and then we're going to go and have a look in the SD card and see what we've created. But anyway, if I hit the flag, the preview button, it's going to take us back into the controller this time. The reason things are blanked out is because, not because the images aren't there, it's because the way when this app was designed, the logic is linked to the fan and a few other things, and when they're not linked, they're not displayed. And the same applies to the status data down here at the bottom. That will all come back as we start to link things back to the page. And of course, the HU page just has that ductwork and label. So if you install FileZilla now, and then you will end up with something that looks like this. Remember, you have got it installed because we used it for the firmware. So all I want you to do this time is just hit the Site Manager, connect, go to the web folder, CPT backups, and you'll see I already had a few others in here, but you can see we've added VAVHU46 and we've added the backup of today here. Okay, so that's pretty good. Ignore this CPT old, that doesn't really matter. Your database file is here that you've created, and your CPT here under app and GR data are your graphics that you've created. So you've got an RTU and an AHU. So I just want to show you that what we've done there actually on the SD card. So what we can do now is we could go and start linking all this logic up to here, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is just leave it there for now, but do some work on the AHU side. Maybe what we'll do is just cheat a little bit and then copy a fan. Let's just have a look which one that is. Looks like this is locked. Let's unlock it. So you can save pieces of this as well if you so wish. Unlock or ungroup. That's it. See this fan here. If you wanted to see what that is, you can actually, if you go right into the far right hand corner, you can see it was linked to a DO in the logic and it's not now. And there is actually an image in there, or there is when we put the logic in there. So if I was to just copy that fan, paste it into my AHU, I could link that to some logic. Let's just do we could just link this, say, to an output, to a DO SVC out, and hit deploy. So you can just copy and paste things across. You could have also just brought your own in over here. Go from user libs back to widgets on the left hand side. You see there's two tabs at the bottom left hand side here. Go back to widgets, and you could start to now bring in, say, a vertical damper. Could be in here. Just line it up. There are some lineup tools actually above, and it is just, I always forget where they are. It's this one here. So there is a lineup tool here. Not that one, that's a screenshot. These have been moved around since I last did this. Here they are. Yeah. So you can align left, line top when you want to start to bring a group of graphic objects together. So next, what we're going to do is delete the logic we have in the controller and start working towards the graphics we're going to do in the test. So let's just, on the right hand side, just use your mouse on the left hand tree. It's easier to delete folders like this because some of them are quite large. IO, delete, temperature control, delete, occupied control, delete, set point control, fan control, and net IO, save, restart, just to realign everything. Just make sure some of those objects don't get caught up in the computer cache or the controller cache. Anyway, we've got a nice clean logic there. Just go to the kits, just check them all again. The common is back in now. HVAC is there. So we've got everything we're going to need if we wanted to paste in some different things. Our graphic remains the same. This time I'm going to delete the RTU. I was just showing you last time how you can bring things in and out. Double click on AHU, do a full deploy, and that will erase the RTU graphic from the SD card. Until we do this full deploy, it's still there at the moment. Then what we're going to do is start preparing a graphic for the test, which you will do when you've finished all the sections, do the test and submit it, as I mentioned before. And then you will get certified, a basic certification in the fact that you can engineer a basic air handling unit in an EasyIO controller. And then we'll do an advanced class, which will be much more detailed, and we'll do that online as well. And make sure that you understand some of the tricks in the graphics and some of the clever stuff that we can do in there. So let's just get rid of the fan for now and the damper. And let's go now to the test paper and let's just have a look at this document here. It is on your software that I showed you before. Down here it's the lab test, this one here. And what we're going to do is just move through to the first graphic. I'm not going to do all the tests with you, but I'm going to just get you started so that, because this is more of an e-learning exercise, you do need to spend some time just practicing, but it will give you a big hand forward to do this. Okay, CPT services these days is installed by default, so you don't need to worry about that. We've already renamed the first page to be AHU, so all I'm doing is going through page 22, just showing you what it's asking us to do. And the first thing it says is let's build the first part of the graphic. So we've got a graphic called AHU, and just to summarize what we're going to be doing, it tells you here, in this exercise we'll be creating a graphic page for an air handling unit. The process of building the GR page is very similar to building a Fedora app. It is drag and drop. So step one, double click on the AHU GR page, which is here. We've already done that. And the library bar will automatically display on the left, which we've seen. And then what we're going to do is expand the ducts. We've already done that. Duct A we've already brought in. And the next step is to add a label, which we've also done. Just check all the properties are here, the way the document says. Make sure the Z layer, the Z order, Z layer We have 255 layers, so normally the duct is preset to 9. Let me show you. Z order is here, 9. And if I was to add in, say, a damper to here, the reason you can see it when you deploy the graphics is because it's Z order 10. If that was Z order 8, you wouldn't see it. I'll just take that out. Okay. And back to the document again. Step 4. Drag and drop the following widgets as directed. Now what I always do is just drag them all onto the page and then line them all up afterwards. So let's just do the first one. We need, in the coils, we need 2 filter objects. Let's go grab those. So coils, filter V, we need 2 of those. So I just drag them on the page. See, they come in as Z order 10. Drag another one in. Save. Back to the document. Now we're going to get a cooling coil. But I'm going to get the one, yeah, we'll get the cooling coil, then we'll get the C valve two-way from valves. So let's do those both at the same time. Close the arrow. Go to the valve. Go for the C two-way. For that one. Let's just make sure I got that right. I don't think I did. C valve two-way R, which is wrong. So we want the C-way two-way valve R. Bring that in. And then for the coil, get that from the coils. We want the cooling coil. There it is. Drag that into here. And then drag the pipework up to here. That looks pretty nice, right? And I believe the filters go here. We'll go check the document afterwards. If you want to just align this, just hit your arrow button on your keyboard. You see it moves up to get aligned. Same here. Arrow down. Then press deploy. Then press preview. Sorry, wrong button. The flag here. There's the first part of our graphics. Not too bad, really. And we will go on next and do a little bit more. But I won't, as I say, I won't do all of it with you, but I will show you how you link some of the logic, and then you'll be able to do the rest. Do the rest of it yourselves. As I said, there will be an advanced class which goes through all the animations and widgets and special charting that we can do. But for now, I need you just to practice and follow the test. So this is a section where that you will cover the graphics when you get to the test. So now let's look at the test paper. It is on the folder that I gave you, or in the folder that I gave you, and it's here. It's the lab test. And if we go down to the graphics section, further down here, I'm just going to get you started, just how you link things into the graphics. So let's just try this then. So I'll just take away this. This was just to show you what we were doing last time. Let's take out this band, save that, and in the logic, as per page 15, I believe it is, the first folder of the logic we need to create is the cool folder, and this is the one here. And actually before that there's a schedule folder. Now I've already created these both for you, so it's going to save you some time. So add folder, cool. This is as page 15, look down here. It's telling you to create this cool folder. Now, just to save time here, what I did is I put it in the training library. If you remember, add user lib, training examples, cool logic. Okay, so if I was to also add the schedule logic, which I also created. So now is a good time for you to do this test, because the next two sections that we're going to cover are not in the test. We will be updating the test to put them in, but we're pretty happy with the test as it is, because it just shows that you know how to get started. So if we, and there will be an advanced class anyway, so add the schedule folder. As you can see, it's on, because it's now, if I change that to 12 again, it will go off. Sorry, that's Monday. It's Saturday today. If I go and change that to 1900 again, and just check the date, the time should be the 8th, local time save. Go back into my Sched folder. It is currently on. So Saturday, I'm going to change that now to 1200 just to see that go off. And there it is. So back to the graphic. One of the first things it asks you to do when you get to the graphics section is to take the the Occupy and switch the fan. Drag that in, go to Equipment, go to Fan Right, click that on, drag that down to here. Just line it up with the arrows, make it nice, and hit Deploy. Then we can have a look at the result. And you will see the fan is not running at the moment, nor can I change any actions on it because it hasn't been brought into the graphic in that way. There are other ways to do that, as the test will show you. But what I can do is just go into the schedule and change the time on Saturday to be 1900 again, and the relay just came on, and now the fan is rotating. So what I recommend you do is go through the test. You can pretty much start from page 15. You've done everything already up to page 15. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Go back to page 13. So have a look at that. Then look how you link things between folders. You know how to do that using the link manager. Just run through it. It tells you how to do it with all the examples and the pictures. Go through and do the test now, and then look at the next two sections, and that will then give you a complete overview of the FG controller. When you get to the end, your air handling unit is going to look like this. You're going to have some charts, but basically it's going to look like this, which is pretty nice. And good luck when you've finished. You've done your history charts and your schedules and added in the SQL. It will look like this here. So all you do is do a backup like we did earlier from the wrench in here. Go up to the wrench here and do a backup with your history database, and then it tells you to zip it up and send it to Foo at training@easyio.com. So good luck, and thanks for taking the time to watch these videos, and sit back and watch the other two videos, which are going to concentrate on the SQL and on the BACnet, and then we'll be doing an advanced session which covers more on the graphics. But the main thing now is to do your test and get to be conversant with doing the fairly basic things in the controller.